Clara Barton, Angel of the Battlefield, written by Tamara Hollingsworth. You can look at this picture and you can see an old-fashioned ambulance, and it has a cross on the side of it. Down below that, there's a poster that says "Join. American Red Cross serves humanity." And there's a nurse holding a red cross. Remember, humanity, we've heard about that before, and that just means humans in general. Now we're going to go to the back of the book, the glossary. It's on page 30. And this is like the vocabulary words that we might not be familiar with. And it tells us the meaning of these words. Battlefields, places where wars are fought. Civil War, an American war between the northern and southern states. Disaster, a sudden event that causes great loss or damage. Earthquakes, sudden shakings of the earth that could cause great damage. Leeches, small worms that suck blood. Tornadoes, storms with strong winds that go round and round. Treaty, a written agreement and set of rules between two or more countries. Treaty of Geneva, a treaty that protected the rights of soldiers during war. Now go to the front of your book. We're on page 3, and this is the table of contents. It's a text feature. It tells us where the different sections of the books can be found. This is divided into different parts, and these aren't chapters. This book is not long enough to be a chapter book, but this tells us like subheadings. Young Clara is on page 4, Nurse Clara, page 10, Clara and the Red Cross, page 18, Timeline, page 28, Glossary, page 30, that's what we just read, Index, page 31, Americans Today, page 32. Young Clara. Clara Barton was born on Christmas Day in 1821. She lived in Massachusetts. Notice the pronunciation guide. That's often there whenever it has a word that you're not familiar with and you're not sure how to pronounce, and it helps you pronounce it correctly. She had 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. They taught her many things. Below that is a picture, and it has Clara's home. Now, it doesn't tell us that that's a picture of Clara, but we know that's the home that she grew up in. On page 5, it has a picture, and it says Clara's older sisters taught her how to read. I'm guessing that this picture was probably made just for this book. They would call this a drawing, a painting, or an illustration. It's not a photograph. Clara liked to help people. When she was 11 years old, her brother David fell off a roof. Clara became his nurse. She stayed home from school for 2 years to care for him. Now look at the picture. We get the information from pictures. Those are part of our text features. And it says Clara taking care of David. So she's bringing him a meal, and he must have really been injured because he's having to lay in bed. And remember, she did this for 2 years. The next page, it has a fun fact at the top. Always read everything, even the fun facts. Clara put leeches on her brother. This was a common cure at the time. And if you remember from our glossary, it said leeches are small worms that suck blood. Now that sounds kind of strange to us now, but it was common in those days. Down below is a picture, and it said David grew up to be a soldier in the Civil War. So he survived falling off the roof and those leeches. At age 16, Clara became a teacher. She taught in a one-room schoolhouse. People said she had a special gift. She made her students want to learn. So you see the picture, and it has children of every age level. That's how they did it in the olden days. And the caption says, inside a one-room schoolhouse. At the time, teachers would spank their students, but Clara never did. In the upper right-hand corner is a portrait of Clara, and then below, it's the school where Clara taught. So you can see that it is really a small school. Nurse Clara. Clara was grown up when the Civil War started. And remember from our glossary, the Civil War, it says, an American war between the northern and southern states. If you remember correctly, this was when they were fighting over freeing the slaves. She wanted to help. She took food and medicine to soldiers. She got friends to send more supplies. So you can see the picture and read the fun fact. This was Clara's office during the Civil War. Notice Clara's name on the sign. And it says Missing Soldiers. Office, 3rd story, room 9, Miss Clara Barton. On the next page is an illustration, and it says Clara helping a hurt soldier during the Civil War. So she would go to the front lines and help the soldiers if they were hurt or from being in the war. Clara was brave. She went to many battlefields. And remember, our glossary says a battlefield is places where wars are fought. Many soldiers were hurt or sick. Clara took care of them. President Lincoln heard about her work. He gave her a medal. Now, remember, President Lincoln is Abraham Lincoln. Fun fact. So look down below, and this is an actual photograph from the Civil War. It says Clara was called the angel of the battlefield. And the caption underneath says hurt soldiers. Clara received a medal from President Lincoln. After the war, Clara took a trip to Europe. On her trip, she learned about the Treaty of Geneva. The treaty said how soldiers should be treated. Now notice this is interesting because it tells us the Treaty of Geneva, and the sentence after it tells us what the treaty was, how it was a treaty that said how soldiers should be treated. Below that is a picture, and it says that a group of men meet to discuss the Treaty of Geneva. Clara was tired and sick. She went to Europe to rest. So this is a map, and it shows the United States, and then it has a white dashed line, and she went to Europe to rest. Clara believed in the treaty. She wanted the United States to sign it. She worked for 10 years to make that happen. Clara knew this would help American soldiers. So down below it says a painting of Clara. So you can look and see what she looks like as a grown-up Clara. Fun fact: the red marks below are wax. Long ago, people put wax next to their names on important papers. They put their fingerprint in the wax. So this is the Treaty of Geneva. And whenever someone signed it, they would drip some wax on there and put their thumbprint or fingerprint on it to prove that it was the person that signed it. Clara and the Red Cross. In Europe, Clara heard about the Red Cross. So she didn't invent the Red Cross. She discovered it when she was in Europe. The Red Cross was a group of nurses. They helped people during wars. She wanted to bring the Red Cross to America. So you look at the picture below, and it shows an ambulance, and the caption says, "A Red Cross ambulance in France." On the next page, it says American Red Cross. Soldiers in front of the Red Cross in Great Britain. Below that's another picture, and it says the Red Cross carrying hurt soldiers during World War I. So the Red Cross is there just to help. Americans did not think that they needed the Red Cross. People said there would never be another war. But Clara said that the group could help with any kind of disaster. So let's go back to our glossary. And it says a disaster is a sudden event that causes great loss or damage. So a disaster could be a weather event as well as a war. And below this, it has a picture, and it says the Red Cross teaching volunteers how to care for the hurt and sick. Here's two pictures. The top one says a group of Red Cross nurses. Below that, Claire watching a nurse help a hurt soldier. Finally, people agreed with Clara. She started the American Red Cross in 1881. She became the group's leader. The group would help in times of war and peace. So this is a picture of Clara, and it says Clara writing at her desk. Now notice it says that she started the American Red Cross in 1881. The Red Cross was already around in Europe when she went to visit years before. Fun fact: Clara was the president of the American Red Cross for 22 years. And there's that poster that was on the cover of the book. It says, "Join American Red Cross, serves humanity." So the Red Cross helps in any event when we need help. Clara led the American Red Cross. The group helped after floods and forest fires. The group also helped after tornadoes and earthquakes. They handed out food and supplies. There's a picture below, and the caption beneath it says, "The Red Cross packing food for people." At the top of this page, you see the Red Cross. And below it is a picture, and it says the Red Cross helping people after a flood in Mississippi. So a flood can cause a disaster and leave people homeless. Clara died in 1912, but the American Red Cross lives on. That means it's still around. It still helps people in need. Thanks to Clara's work, Americans have help during hard times.